What's going on today, YouTubers? Welcome to another edition of Walking Reviews. Today we're going to be taking a look at a production knife from a new company out of China, a la Kaiser Riate. This is the new kit on the scene, Factor Equipment. And there is already a little bit of drama surrounding their company, but I'll get into that later. Right now, let's go ahead and jump into the specs for this particular knife. This is the Iconic Flipper. Blade length is 3 1/8 inch of CPM S35EN with a modified drop point / sheep's foot type blade shape there. Full flat grind, nice stone wash. This blade is an EDC dream. It's nice and thin behind the edge, thanks to the fairly wide blade profile and full flat grind. It gives you plenty of belly with a very usable tip. So I've been using this mostly in the kitchen. You can see it's dirty. Mostly in the kitchen or for like mail packages, that kind of thing. Just a really handy blade shape, and it came with a very nice edge. So as far as opening methods go, obviously flipper is the most prominent, but the thumb hole there is very usable. Flicks out nicely. Detent is pretty much dialed in to be right in the middle. It's not too strong to where you can't use the thumb hole, but it's not weak enough to where you're having a shitty time flipping the knife. So handle length is 4 1/4 inches. You can see it's carbon fiber here on the show side with the Factor Equipment logo there. Semi-decorative pivot that is Torx. The carbon fiber is gorgeous, and aside from being gorgeous, it is contoured, so feels very good in the hand. You can see the titanium side is also contoured there, but just a really nice, it is textured as well. It's not like a high polished carbon fiber, so you will get a little bit of texture to it. I guess that's a basket weave carbon fiber. Like I said, locking side is titanium with sort of a media blast finish, which I've already started to scratch up pretty well. Like I said, I've been using this knife pretty heavily the past 2 weeks or so. Pocket clip, titanium spring clip with the, again, the Factor Equipment logo. Doesn't carry the deepest, but not really a huge problem for me. This does have a steel lock bar insert. It runs on caged bearings, ceramic bearings, and a ceramic detent as well. You can see it's got the little gear back spacer there, milled out back spacer. Fairly certain the back spacer is titanium as well. I haven't checked it though. Construction, fairly simple. 3 body screws obviously, and then the pivot. They do give you a little lanyard hole there. Weight on this is like 3.2 ounces, I believe. It feels incredibly light. For an overall length, you're just under 7.5 inches, and you're right around just 3 ounces, so it's very, very lightweight. As far as size goes, this is almost identical in size to the Zero Tolerance 0450, which you guys just saw in a video yesterday. Very, very similar in size to the 0450, just a hair wider. So for those of you that find the handle of the 0450 too skinny, this is just a little bit wider, fills out the hand a little bit better. There is, for those of you who have a problem, if your hands are maybe a little bit smaller than mine, and you try and get your entire hand in this groove here, sorry about that. There's always some asshole that's got to rev their engine. Anyways, yeah, for those of you that want to try and squeeze your entire hand in that groove, it's not gonna work. My pinky rests here comfortably, and then 3 of my fingers go into that groove. And in that configuration, this knife is extremely comfortable to hold ergonomically. You also have a forward finger groove there for people that like to choke up, or if you have bigger hands and you just need the extra real estate back there. So they did a nice job ergonomically. And I say they did a nice job, but let's go ahead and get this out of the way, or at least talk about it for a little bit. So apparently, I bought this knife when I first saw it on Knife Center, and after I got it, I mentioned it to a friend. Hey, there's this new company, blah blah blah. And as soon as I said the name of the company, he was like, "Oh, those are the guys that stole that design." And I was like, "Oh crap, here we go." So apparently, this design was or belongs to Giant Mouse knives. This is pretty much exactly the GM1, the Giant Mouse 1. And I did go ahead and Google the GM1. The GM1 is larger than this, but this is the smaller version from Factor Equipment. So I'm assuming that the larger version with like the 3.5-inch blade is probably an exact or close to exact ripoff of the GM1 from Giant Mouse knives. This is all I'm gonna have to say on that. This is the smaller version. So yeah, did they probably take the design from Giant Mouse? I think they probably did. However, when I went to go look for one of those Giant Mouse knives, that they were a run of 300 pieces, and they'll never go back to that design again, as far as I'm aware. So if you weren't one of the people who got that original 300 piece run from Giant Mouse knives of the GM1, you're pretty much out of luck as far as that design goes. This company picked it up, and it looks like this company picked it up and ran with it, and made 2 different sizes. Like, again, this is kind of like a scaled down version of the GM1. Obviously, I don't know for sure, but my guess is that they're probably not giving any money to Jen Zanso and I forget the name of the other fellow that started Giant Mouse knives. Anyways, I really doubt that Factor Equipment is giving money to Giant Mouse knives to license the design, but I don't know that for certain. That's why I'm not going to say for sure, okay, this is a ripoff, because they might have some kind of licensing deal, or there could have been some backroom deal. I don't know. If I ever do find out for sure, I'll be happy to change the information or do it like a re-review maybe, or something like that. But at the time of this taping, as far as I know, these guys did take the design. So if that's an ethical issue for you, that's obviously you might want to give this one a hard pass. It's the design. There's very little that's different. The pocket clip is pretty much exactly the same. Blade shape is pretty much exactly the same. It's very, very close to the GM1. Obviously, like I said, scaled down for this compact version, but close enough to have obviously been that design. So value. Yeah, it's a crazy good value. If, like I said, if this is something that you're okay with, it's a crazy good value. Like I think it's like it's around $100, or like $120 from like the big retailers, if you can find it. I only found Factor Equipment knives on Knife Center so far. I don't know if other retailers will be carrying them. I do have another one of their knives as well that I was going to do a review on. but I just got so kind of like swarmed with knives recently that it's been tough to get videos done, but I'll do that one next. And I'm pretty certain that that one is their design. But anyways, yeah, this one is a crazy good. The centering is probably the only ding I'll give it. That's about as good as I can get the centering, and it's a couple millimeters off towards the show side there. So I mean, the tolerances aren't great. You can see that there's a fairly significant gap between the bearing washers and the blade. But everything else is pretty much spot on. They did a really good job of of making Giant Mouse's design into a compact version. Yeah, aside from the centering, I have zero complaints about the knife. Nice and smooth, the flipping action very snappy. Not drop closed, but it's been getting closer and closer as it breaks in. So yeah, a well done, if maybe unethically gotten knife design. So I don't know if Factor Equipment